The gifts may be unwrapped, but that doesn't mean the stress of the holiday season is behind us. What you and your kids can do to unwind heading into the new year.
And a Madison family is hoping for a holiday miracle after spending Christmas together in the hospital.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning, 6 in the morning on Wednesday, December 26th. We hope you all had a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. Danica, Leah, and Hattie are all enjoying an extra day off. So Keely is up early with us.
Good morning.
You're still awake?
I'm still awake. It's only an hour left, so I think I can hang on.
We're almost there, and I appreciate your help because this show is a beast. And Chris, you're back too.
I'm back. I'm readjusting to my schedule. In Kentucky, it was all out of whack.
Good luck doing that.
I know, trying to readjust, but I'll tell you what, the weather was a help this morning. I didn't have any big storm systems on my way in, so smooth driving and temperatures that are warmer than they were just 24 hours ago. We're 5 degrees warmer here in Madison at 31 degrees, 27 in Janesville right now. The Dells also at 30. Now here's the deal. Things are going to be changing, and we will have a storm system to talk about, especially as we go through the next 12 to 24 hours. We are colder, though, across the northern tier of the upper Midwest at 4 degrees right now in parts of North Dakota. So single digits just to the north and west, 30s to our south and east, and a storm system that is poised to ride between those already. We are watching the storm system come together now across parts of Nebraska and the Dakotas, rain throughout parts of Kansas, and eventually that's going to be working its way towards the north and east and gathering some momentum. Watch the radar look more impressive as we go through the day. Winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings are in place for our north and west, but they are not including us here in Madison. We won't see those conditions, but it'll be chilly with some rain around. Temperatures going from 32 to 36 this morning, staying overcast through the afternoon with temperatures around 38. And then it's tonight. We'll see the rain and the snow moving into the picture, going over to rain into your Thursday. In terms of first alert traffic, this is I-3990 at Highway 26, and it's moving. A few more cars out on the road as opposed to yesterday, but even still, no major issues are showing up. We are seeing a few brake lights near Stoughton Road as perhaps a little rush hour gets started. Maybe someone other than us has to work this morning. Ultimately, we aren't seeing any major issues right now.
Maybe a good idea to get on the road sooner rather than later today.
Hey, I did that yesterday, and it was a breeze. Chicago was even traffic-free, so
that's saying a lot.
Yep, it does.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Anytime.
Well, new this morning, Madison police are looking for 2 teenage suspects who allegedly robbed a man at gunpoint overnight. It happened around midnight near Warner Park along Browning Road at Dryden Drive. Police say the 2 suspects looked to be about 18 years old and were wearing dark clothing. The person who was robbed said he had left a relative's home nearby to walk to a gas station when the suspects pointed a gun at his head and took his cash before running away. Anyone with information is asked to call Madison Police or the Madison Area Crime Stoppers.
We are hoping to learn more about a developing story out of Columbia County, where the sheriff's office is investigating what caused a med flight to be canceled while responding to an accident. Emergency crews responded to the Scott Township around 5 yesterday evening for an ATV crash involving a 17-year-old boy. Those crews requested med flight to the scene, but the flight was then canceled due to, quote, safety concerns. Authorities could not elaborate on what those safety concerns were, as it is an open investigation. We're expecting a release later today, and we'll update you throughout the morning with any new information here and on our website.
The Barron County Sheriff's Office is asking for people to think of Jamie Kloss. The 13-year-old girl is still missing this holiday season. Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald said in a Facebook post that the investigation into the missing girl is still active. He's asking for people to watch for changes in the behavior of people at family gatherings or out and about in public places, as he believes there is still a tip out there. It has been 68 days since Jamie first went missing. If you believe you have any information related to Jamie's disappearance or her parents' deaths, you're asked to call the Barron County tip line. That's 855-744-3879.
We want to remind you to do your part in helping everyone get home safely this holiday season, following multiple arrests related to drunk driving this week. A woman from Monona was arrested Monday evening after nearly hitting an officer. Police were called out to an apartment complex on Index Road in Fitchburg around 11:20 p.m. for a report of a drunk woman causing a disturbance. The officer at the scene says he saw 23-year-old Rachel Lindgren get into a car, ignore his orders, and accelerate toward him. She was arrested during a traffic stop shortly after this by officers nearby and is facing charges related to recklessly endangering safety and operating a vehicle while intoxicated.
And as those celebrations and holiday travels continue, extra crews are on the road to make sure you're driving safely and sober. Law enforcement agencies across our area are participating in the Holiday Driver, Sober, or Get Pulled Over campaign. That means more patrols are out on the roadways. Officials are also asking you to report any impaired driver you see by calling 911. Remember to always designate a sober driver while celebrating, and do not allow your family and friends to get behind the wheel after drinking. That campaign runs through January 1st.
Looking ahead to the new year, Madison Metro and the Tavern League of Wisconsin want to help you get home safe to start your 2019 on a high note. They're partnering to offer free bus rides starting at 7 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Buses will follow their regular weekday schedules with services extended until around 3:30 New Year's morning. You can find a link to the route details on our website. And we have a first alert traffic note for you this week. If you're taking a break from cooking following the holidays and maybe heading downtown for brunch this morning, South Blair Street in downtown Madison will be down to just one lane in both directions between Williamson and Railroad Streets. This closure will start at 9 this morning and is expected to be clear around Saturday at noon.
6:06 is your time right now. While the holidays are typically a time to spend with your family, one Madison family is spending theirs in the hospital. Alicia Peterson delivered twin baby boys at 23 weeks of gestation, weighing about 1.5 pounds each. The babies, Caden and Braden, are in the neonatal intensive care unit at St. Mary's Hospital in Madison. The 2-week-old babies have already opened their eyes, but they're still struggling to survive. Both have brain bleeds. One baby has a serious infection and the other has already had to go through surgery, making this a very difficult holiday season for their family.
They're at the point now where there's not really much else that, the doctors can do for them. Their bodies are either going to decide to keep fighting or not.
The Petersons also have 3 older children they say are struggling to pay their bills and afford gas after driving multiple times a day back and forth from the hospital. We have a link to their GoFundMe page at channel3000.com.
So sad. The holidays will bring lots of feelings of joy, but also some stress. We'll take a closer look at how kids can pick up on when their parents are feeling stressed or anxious and what to do about it.
And as we go to a short break, here's a live look outside this morning on this Wednesday after Christmas. That Christmas hangover is real today. All is calm for now in the weather world. Chris is talking some rain and snow chances for the rest of the week. Keep watching News 3 this morning.
Good morning to all of you out there. Temperatures this morning are about 5 degrees warmer than they were just 24 hours ago. We're seeing those temperatures 5 degrees warmer than they were 24 hours ago right now. Here's the deal, though. Current temperatures are right around 31 degrees. So we've actually seen temperatures drop a little bit as we have gone through the past couple of hours by about a degree or so. 27 is the temperature down in Janesville right now. 28 in Kenosha. Milwaukee, a warmer spot at 35 degrees as we speak. But as we zoom things out, things are colder back to the north and west. Right now, Fargo, North Dakota at 4 cold degrees this morning. We're going to continue to see this change or spread in temperature give way to a storm system that's going to be coming into the picture later on tonight. Already, we are starting to see the cloud cover on the increase, and there will be more of that going through the day. Rain and snow already starting to gather some steam across the Midwest as well. That's going to be moving towards the upper Midwest as we go through the day, bringing perhaps a little touch of snow before going over to some rain for us. Still, though, winter storm warnings pretty much in play for a large chunk of real estate back to our north and west. We are free of those for now, and that's just because we're not expecting much of the wintry impact. We may see a little bit of that at the beginning, which is why today is an alert day, but we are quickly going over to rain from there, staying in that heavy rain throughout much of your Thursday before we'll get a little bit of a break Thursday night, and then into Friday before some wraparound snowflakes could be on the backside of the system as it begins to move out of the picture. Hour by hour, here's how things will play out. Today will be dry. Expect those highs right around 37 to 38 degrees. Later on tonight, here comes the brief round of rain and snow from the south and west. Quickly going over to rain, though. You see just how fast that happens, and staying in the rain as we go through most of your Thursday as well. When it comes to how much rain we could see, we're talking generally about 3/4 of an inch towards an inch of rain for our area. So not a ton, but still for this time of the year, this is going to be a decent drink of water for our ground to receive. The other thing to be mindful of is traffic delays. We're going to see some major delays if you're traveling north and west of here. We could even see some minor delays around Madison as we head into your Friday morning. This morning, though, 32 to 36 degrees. By the afternoon, we will top out right around 38. Still, though, staying overcast. And generally, though, things will be milder, which is certainly some good news. The rain in here for Thursday and Friday, clearing out for the weekend with some sunshine to take us through the new year as well. The next chance of snow will come as we approach the first weekend of the new year. Now let's head over to Josh Tim with your first alert traffic. Josh?
At it today, and so far things are moving great on the Beltline. No major delays showing up yet in either direction. Roads here in St. County not looking too bad either. Just some brake lights beginning to show up on Stoughton Road and Verona Road approaching the Beltline ramps. No issues downtown around campus. Volume not a factor at this point. And other main routes leading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh and Chris. We know you still have a million things to do right now, but just take a breath and take some time to talk this morning. We want to remind you about stress for your family around the holidays.
Well, as a pediatrician, Dr. Nick Hallett with SSM Health says he's asking a lot more mental health related questions when kids come in for an exam, and this time of year can be especially vulnerable for patients.
Families around that can be stressful. Travel can be stressful. The thoughts of needing to find gifts for everyone can be stressful. The thought of not getting what you want can be stressful. Those sorts of things can definitely add extra stress this time of year. So looking out for those things and those contributing to your child's health is important.
When they come into his office, Hallett is asking kids open-ended questions about home and school. That way, if a child isn't comfortable talking to mom or dad about it, he can recognize a problem and try to get his patient to open up. If you're looking for ways to have your own conversations about mental health, check out our Time for Kids page. We also want to see what makes you, you. Learn more about the Be You movement and how you can get involved over on channel3000.com. Well, we may be past Christmas, but that doesn't mean some of the stress that comes with the holiday season is already gone.
As Dr. Hallett mentioned, that stress and anxiety can end up affecting your kids too. Earlier, I sat down with Dr. Marcia Slattery from the UW School of Medicine and Public Health to talk about ways to manage it. The holiday season can make for a stressful time, and as a parent, it's important to remember yourself. Here with some advice this morning is Dr. Marcia Slattery, a child and adolescent psychiatrist with UW Health, and I think this is the time of year you're trying to give it all for your kids, but sometimes you have to remember yourself too.
Right. I think parents underestimate how much kids can pick up on how much stress and anxiety they have, and the holidays are ubiquitous for having more stress and anxiety. Just the time demands, we're off schedule, our sleep is off. There are multiple variables that contribute to that. And I think one of the things that parents, as I mentioned, often very much underestimate is how much that affects their kids. When you're stressed and anxious, your kid is more likely to be stressed and anxious. So importantly, first off, just monitoring when you are more stressed and anxious to know that this is how I'm feeling and what are some things that I need to do.
What are some ways to kind of focus on yourself during the holidays? Because you are trying to do everything all at once, right?
Exactly. The way I often discuss it and describe it with parents is to say, think of it two ways. What do I do in the moment when I'm feeling more stressed? But importantly, what can I do upstream every day in my routine that's likely going to decrease my stress that day, which makes it less likely for me to have these episodes where I'm much more anxious and stressed. So things like getting enough sleep, getting enough exercise, much like what we talk about with our kids, right? It's very important for us as well. And having some quiet time and just some time to ourselves to regroup and reboot, so to speak, will make us much more energized and much more available for our kids when we're with them, in contrast trying to do it at all and then being stressed when we're with them, which is what they're going to pick up on. If you are feeling more stressed, again, a lot of things that can help with that. Notice it, take a break, let your kids know, I just need to have a little bit of time right now, I'm just going to take a little break, I'll be right back, and find something that helps you relax. Build in some exercise, do something that you enjoy, have a little bit of quiet time, just sort of recharging to allow us sort of get back to a baseline. That's going to help your kids in the long run too and make the day go better.
I know it always sounds so easy to try and say, hey, I'm going to give myself some more time, but a lot of times until you actually build it in, right?
You have to schedule it in, right? If it's on our schedule, we tend to do it. When we lose it is to say, I should do that sometime today. I really want to put that in there, but it doesn't get done. So literally putting it into our routine and making it happen every day is really when we're likely to do it. And again, the more that we do it, more consistency. Not only are you also modeling that for your kids, because that's important for them to do too, but you're also taking care of yourself, which in turn is going to make you more available emotionally and less stressed when you're spending time with your kid, and therefore likely a more enjoyable interaction together.
We got a few seconds left, but it's almost like it's a good way to propel yourself into the new year then as well.
It's a great way, exactly, because you're modeling, again, as I mentioned, but you're also putting into place some new routines that are going to decrease stress in the months ahead. So we tend to forget it's not just during the holiday, but what we do now is also going to carry forth in the weeks and the months ahead.
All right, Dr. Slattery, we appreciate you coming in. We'll get all of your advice up on channel3000.com.
Sounds great.
There's more news for you this morning right after this. Stick around.
A live look over the Edgewater sky cam right now. Still dark outside, but you can certainly see the steam rising from a lot of the buildings out there. The temperature 31 degrees. We are mostly cloudy out there. Winds out of the north at 3 miles per hour, so they're still pretty light. The wind chill isn't something that we really have to worry about this morning. 32 down in Monroe, same for Mineral Point right now. 33 in Boscobel. For at 31, and generally we are seeing those temperatures anywhere from the upper 20s to the low 30s this morning. We're going to be seeing more of that. In fact, as we go through the morning, temperatures will gradually warm up. 32 to 36 is what we're expecting. We'll be staying mostly cloudy as well on this mild start to the day. Milder by the afternoon. Temperatures should top out around 38 degrees and perhaps the low 40s as you work your way towards the south, towards Janesville. Guys?
Thanks, Chris. Well, if you're looking for somewhere to take the kids in Lodi this week, the public library is officially reopening today. This comes after it was closed earlier this month due to mold damage. It was found during a remodel of the basement. A professional mold removal team was hired immediately to address the issue. They say the most recent air quality test came back clean.
A nationwide program from the American Heart Association is trying to keep kids active in school to address both their physical and emotional well-being. The Kids Heart Challenge includes a daily 20-minute exercise routine in the morning to help kids wake up and get their brains going. It also includes brain breaks through the day to help keep kids focused. Experts say kids who are active have better physical health, brain function, and attention spans in class. Some schools are also mixing different classes together for the morning warm-up sessions to help teach social skills.
You're going to have a 5-year-old look up to a 7-year-old and learn from them and experience this is being nice to younger people. So it's just one of these, it's a win-win.
Recent guidelines from the American Heart Association say kids ages 3 to 5 should have 3 hours a day of light to moderate exercise, while kids ages 6 to 17 should get at least 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity every day. 6:23 right now. Still to come this morning, we'll take a look at Wall Street, where investors are hoping for a strong finish to the year.
And if Santa made a mistake or two with the gift giving this year, we have some things to keep in mind before you head to the return lines today. That's when News 3 This Morning returns. Hundreds of thousands of government workers could be heading back to work today without getting paid, as the president says the government shutdown will continue until he gets funding for his border wall.
And we all have our holiday traditions, but two area women have shared something special for 5 decades.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome back to News 3 This Morning, just before 6:30 on this Wednesday, December 26th.
We've got some changes on the way when it comes to our weather in southern Wisconsin. Let's get right to it with meteorologist Chris Reese. Hi, Chris.
Good morning. That's right. We've been dealing with some quiet weather this morning, but things are going to be changing as we head into the afternoon in terms of the potential of rain and snow coming into the picture. Let's talk about all that coming up in just a bit. But for now, we are cold at 31 degrees, or at least chilly. I feel odd saying that that's cold at this point for this time of the year. We do have a lot of cloud cover around as well, and that's going to be the theme going through the day. Temperatures elsewhere are 27 in Janesville. That's where they have a little bit more in the way of some clear skies right now. 28 as you work your way towards Black River Falls. 4 in Fargo, North Dakota. I just have to point that out. That is, wow. Yikes. Yeah, you count yourself lucky with the 31 that we have out there right now. But we're going to be watching warmer temperatures coming in overall. That's because winds overall are going to be coming out of the south and west. As our next system gathers steam, already you're starting to see some of that rain and snow over parts of Nebraska and the Dakotas. That is where they have lots of winter storm warnings along with winter weather advisories for this event. We are free of those in Madison just because we won't really be getting in on much of the wintry side of the system. But do expect that rainfall to begin later on, especially towards the end of the dinner time hours. For the most part, though, today will be dry, just on the cloudier side of the spectrum. Let's go ahead and show you guys first alert traffic, and we are moving out there, which is what we want to see. There's a little bit of patchy fog in some spots, and the roads are damp in some spots as well, but no major issues showing up other than your typical slowdowns that we have for the morning right around Stoughton Road at the Beltline interchange with the traffic lights there. So hopefully we can keep the traffic on the good side going through the rest of the holiday travel. A lot of folks are going to be hitting the road over the next couple days.
Good idea to start sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than later. And I'll tell you what, my Christmas miracle yesterday, Chicago was free of traffic, folks. Hopefully it can stay that way today.
That is
yes,
truly a miracle.
I know, it really was.
Thanks, Chris.
Anytime.
Time right now is just about 6:30. We're headed into day 5 of the partial government shutdown, and President Trump says it will stay that way unless Democratic leaders agree to help fund a wall along the Mexico border. The president has demanded $5 billion to help fund the wall. The House of Representatives passed a bill approving that funding last week, but there isn't enough support to pass it in the Senate. The president said he will not approve any spending bill that does not include funding for the wall.
I can't tell you when the government's going to be open. I can tell you it's not going to be open until we have a wall, a fence, whatever they'd like to call it.
About 800,000 government workers are affected by this shutdown. Many of those are continuing to work but won't be paid until after the shutdown ends.
All eyes will be on Wall Street later this morning as the stock market heads into its final days of trading before the new year. The Dow is on track for its worst year since the middle of the Great Recession in 2008 and its worst December since 1931. This will be the first full day of trading this week after the Dow dropped more than 650 points during a half day of trading on Christmas Eve. The president is blaming the Federal Reserve for raising interest rates again, while financial experts say investors are worried about the U.S. trade war with China and slowing global economies.
Santa may be magic, but he isn't perfect. Chances are the big guy made at least one mistake with gift giving, so you might find yourself standing in line at the customer service desk making a return this week. State consumer officials want to remind you that some stores won't accept returns unless you have a receipt. So hopefully Santa also left a gift receipt in that box. Some stores may also limit returns to a certain time frame or won't accept returns after a certain date. So be sure to know about those special terms before you head to the store.
If you're not tired of spending money just yet, today might be a day to catch some big after Christmas deals. Financial experts say the day after Christmas can be a great time to buy. They say clothing deals tend to dominate after Christmas sales. Last year, about 55% of the post-holiday deals were for clothing and accessories. Next, of course, is all that holiday decor stores are trying to clean off their shelves. Rounding out the best things to buy is exercise equipment, video games, and electronics.
From cardboard boxes to most types of wrapping paper, a lot of leftover Christmas components can be recycled. But this comes as an area waste disposal and recycling business is warning against putting a certain type of item in the recycling bin. That is clothing, which Pelletary Waste System says is a common issue at its recycling center. According to a Pelletary spokesperson, the machine that sorts materials often places clothes in the same category as water bottles, which can cause contamination. Clothing can also get tangled up and jam up in the sorting equipment, so the best thing you can do with unneeded clothing is donate it.
A woman in McFarland is getting a big boost for her nonprofit this holiday season. AARP gave Monica Kamal Spaney a $60,000 prize to help her expand Accessibility Wisconsin, which rents all-terrain wheelchairs to people with mobility issues. She's hoping it will jumpstart even more donations to help her expand accessibility. Right now, the service has reached 7 counties in Wisconsin, but she wants to expand it to all 72. She said that will allow even more people to experience the independence of the all-terrain chair.
It feels wonderful to have people be able to access the outdoors, and then they have this big smile and this cloud is lifted up like, wow, I get to see the birds again or the deer again. And they get to do it independently. It's not somebody pushing them around.
If you're interested in renting a chair, you just have to go to the organization's website, accessibilitywi.org, then select your county and pay a $50 deposit, which you can either give back or donate.
Just about 6:34 this morning. The holidays are full of traditions for many of us, but a pair of lifelong friends in Hollandale has their own unique tradition they wanted to share for their 50-year milestone.
Jamie Perez brings us their story this morning.
We all have our Christmas traditions, but I bet you've never seen one like this.
They're getting kind of beat up. They look like they're 50 years old.
For 50 years, Jackie Gimpler and Evelyn Wire have been exchanging the same Christmas cards.
Well, I just wonder how many more years we can keep it up. I hope.
Well, this is
I don't think we're going to make 50, but
oh,
more.
This is only 50. We got all the backside to fill yet. Do we have to just write a little larger?
There you go.
2 peas in a pod. They've been friends since their early 20s.
We were doing everything together.
Now in their early 70s, they've managed to keep this tradition of trade alive.
She said, "Oh, Evelyn," she said, "you know, you're not very organized. I am sure that you will lose that Christmas card. I will bet you a 6-pack of beer that you will not. You will lose that card." You know, for the first few years in that, I went and I even put it in my lockbox. I'm not going to lose that card. You know what I mean? I had a 6-pack on that thing.
All for a 6-pack of beer. The booze made it worth the trouble of never buying a new card.
Because you're too tight to buy new ones.
The cards hold years of memories, keeping track of growing families.
Sheila, Heidi, Pootsy, Samson, Jackie, Brett, Brock, Pooh, Dusty, Freckles, Smoke. We're growing. Jackie, Brett, Brock, Gina, Wilbur, and oh gosh. Oh, and the Three Stooges.
Yeah, Bachman.
That must have been her fish, huh?
Yeah.
And their history of pets.
Sheena, okay.
Sherman.
Yeah.
Wilbur, Rascal, and Mitzi. I had lots of cats then.
Evelyn, Bono, and Romer, 2002. Evelyn, Rex, Romer, Poncho, Lefty. The other fish must have died.
The cards have seen better days for sure, but these two still have many better days to come, keeping their tradition alive. In Madison.
Mark, Jackie, Brett, Brock, Pooh, Freckles, and Smoke.
Jamie Perez, WISC News 3.
And they're hoping they can continue filling up the card until there is no more blank space to write anything else.
Those ladies are a hoot.
They are. What a good friendship.
That's awesome. And just be able to continue it going for 5 decades, that's an achievement right there.
It is. What traditions really last that long?
I know. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Great story there.
Well, the community of Fort Atkinson is rallying around one of its own.
We'll tell you how they're doing something good to help out a family in need as a single mother battles cancer this holiday season. News 3 This Morning will return in a moment. Welcome back at 6:39 this Wednesday morning. We've been asking you to share your morning with us, and check out this good one Gwen posted on our Facebook page of Camp Douglas. It's always such a pretty drive going up along that stretch.
It is so beautiful, and as you were saying, it's nice with a little fresh powder. You can see.
Picturesque this time of the year. All right, Gwen, thank you so much for sharing.
And what does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it to Channel 3000's Facebook page or on Twitter using the hashtag MyNews3thismorning. We'll share our favorites right here on News 3 This Morning. And it certainly wasn't hard to find a breakfast with Santa this month, but if you're trying to find something with a little bit more meaning, rather, there was a gathering in Fort Atkinson that got a lot of attention and attendees. At Busy Barns Adventure Farm, not only were Santa and Mrs. Claus there, but so was the Grinch and about 700 people. But they weren't there for the food or to tell Santa what they wanted for Christmas. They were there for something more important.
She's been here at Busy Barns working with us for 5 or 6 years, and so we've gotten to know her that way, but she also has, like I said, many friends and family here. We are doing it to help her financially, obviously, but it's also for moral support, so we love the crowd today.
Tonight, in a special Do Something Good, Charlotte Deleste shares Leslie's story and why these friends, family, and perfect strangers insisted on attending this particular breakfast. It's a story of hope, strength, and support, only on News 3 at 10.
Looking forward to that story. It is 6:41 right now. It's been a rather mild week, and you better enjoy it while it lasts.
Here's a live look outside as we wake up on the day after Christmas. We've got some rain and snow on the way, and Chris Reese is also on the way to track it all for us.
But first, let's look who's 3 today. Happy birthday to Jackson and everyone else who's celebrating a birthday on this day after Christmas. Thanks for celebrating with us on News 3 This Morning. a.m. Looks pretty quiet out there. I think the animals have that holiday hangover as well as we come back on this day after Christmas. If you're still in the holiday spirit, we want to remind you that the Henry Vilas Zoo will shine bright through the rest of this week. The Zoo Lights display resumes tomorrow after a short break from Christmas. The event runs until the 30th between 5:30 and 9 p.m. Admission is just $7 per person, but kids under 3 can get in for free.
And meteorologist Chris Reese is tracking some changing weather conditions for us. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, guys. If only we could get some snow for the Zoo Lights. I'm not quite sure that's going to happen, but the pattern getting ready to turn active for us as we go through the next couple of days. Enjoy that beautiful sunrise that we have out there right now. The temperature 31 degrees, and we're watching that cloud cover on the increase, and it's going to continue to increase as we go through the day as well. Temperatures also warmer than they were this time yesterday. We're 5 degrees warmer here in Madison. Wautoma is 7 degrees warmer than they were just 24 hours ago. Janesville, oddly enough, is 2 degrees cooler. That's what happens when you get some clearing skies. But you see the thicker streak of cloud cover that was in the region this morning that will continue to increase as we go throughout the morning as well, but otherwise temperatures are mainly in the upper 20s and low 30s depending on where you are across the state. Cooler as you work your way towards the north and west. We get up towards the northern plains, and that's where the true cold air is, and it's trying to work its way to the south, but we have a storm system to go through before we can get some of that colder air on in here. Here's that cloud cover already on the increase. We're going to watch that continue to thicken up as we go through the next couple of hours. Across the nation's midsection, we're watching the next storm already start to gather some momentum as it begins to work its way towards the north and east. In fact, we do have winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories, mainly north and west of Madison. The north woods of Wisconsin are included in that, but here's how things will play out. We have this region of low pressure forming over the Texas Panhandle. That's going to be moving towards the north and east. Here's the initial round of snow that we could see as that comes into fruition, but then heavy rain will completely take over as we head into your Thursday, and Thursday itself will likely be a pretty mild day that is full of rain. But as the storm system moves away, that's when we could see some light snow and some flurries on the backside of that. We'll watch that one closely. Taking you hour by hour through today, expect those highs right around 37 degrees. Here we are with the leading edge overnight that could bring some snow with it, but again, heavy rain is really what is going to be taking over, potentially impacting travel for some of us. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on that. How much rain could we see? We are talking generally up to 3/4 of an inch towards 1 inch of rainfall around here. But the bigger story is going to be travel impacts, especially towards our north and west. We are talking to some moderate and potentially even major travel impacts for our friends up there. Keep that in mind if you're going to be traveling. Otherwise, it is just rain for us. We only have an alert day due to the freezing rain potential that we will see overnight. Otherwise, we will end the year on a sweet and quiet note. Granted, things will be kind of colder for this time, but you know what? It is December, so I think we'll take it around here. Emmett and Hazel Grace at Sun Prairie napping away, and I do think it's one of those kind of forecasts where we can nap away over the next couple days.
Cuddle weather.
It's cuddle weather. I like it.
Kind of crazy to see this much rain in December.
It really is. If this were snow, it would be a lot of it, but unfortunately it's rain.
So. All right, Chris. Thank you.
Anytime.
The Morning Sprint is up next on News 3 This Morning. 6:51 is your time right now, and it's time for the morning sprint. If you're headed back to work today or maybe back from Grandma's house, Chris says it'll be another cloudy day, but otherwise no problems on the roads until perhaps later tonight.
But first, we start in Washington, where thousands of government workers could be heading back to work today, not knowing when they'll be paid again. The partial government shutdown is entering its 5th day as Senate leaders try to gather enough support to help fund the president's wall along the Mexico border. The House passed a bill authorizing $5 billion for the wall last week, but Senate leaders are still trying to negotiate a deal. The president says he won't sign a funding bill that does not include money for the wall. About 800,000 government workers are being affected by the shutdown, with many continuing to work.
For the second time this month, a young Guatemalan child attempting to migrate with a parent in the United States has died while in U.S. government custody. The 8-year-old boy died early Tuesday morning in New Mexico after becoming ill. He was initially diagnosed with a cold and then a fever before being released with prescriptions. But his illness got worse and he later died back at the hospital. Guatemalan officials say the boy and his father entered the U.S. at El Paso, Texas last week. Officials have not released a cause of death. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said it is unable to respond to media during the government shutdown.
Wall Street is hoping for a rebound this morning after taking a day off for Christmas. The Dow is on track for its worst year since the middle of the Great Recession and its worst December since 1931. This will be the first full day of trading this week after the Dow dropped more than 650 points during a half day of trading on Christmas Eve.
Madison police are looking for 2 teenage suspects who allegedly robbed a man at gunpoint overnight. It happened around midnight near Warner Park along Browning Road and Dryden Drive. Police say the 2 suspects looked to be about 18 years old and were wearing dark clothing. The person who was robbed said he had left a relative's home nearby to walk to a gas station when the suspects pointed a gun at his head and took his cash before running away.
The sheriff's office in Columbia County is investigating what caused a med flight to be canceled while responding to an accident. Emergency crews responded to Scott Township around 5 yesterday evening for an ATV crash involving a 17-year-old boy. Those crews requested med flight to the scene, but the flight was then canceled due to, quote, safety concerns. Authorities could not elaborate on what those safety concerns were, as it is an open investigation. We're expecting more information to be released later today.
And we do have an alert day in the forecast just for the potential of some freezing rain and snow. That'll be mainly north of the Madison area overnight tonight, and it's not the biggest of deals, but with the travel, we at least want you to know of the potential system we'll have coming in. For the most part, it's going to be cloud cover throughout much of the day, temperatures topping out around 38, and then the chance for some rain and snow overnight before going over to heavy rain as we head into your Thursday.
Overseas authorities are asking people to avoid the coast near an island volcano after a tsunami killed more than 400 people Saturday night in Indonesia. This as they monitor eruptions, weather, and sea conditions for more tsunami risks. Nearly 1,500 people were injured in the tsunami over the weekend. Crews there are still prioritizing rescuing victims.
Closer to home, a reminder that extra crews are on the road to make sure you're driving safely and sober following the holiday. Law enforcement agencies across our area are participating in the Holiday Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign. That means more patrols are out on the roads. Officials are also asking for you to report impaired driving by calling 911.
If you need a safe ride home during New Year festivities next week, Madison Metro is teaming up with the Tavern League to offer free rides starting at 7 on New Year's Eve night. Buses will follow their regular weekday schedules with services extended until around 3:30 New Year's morning. You can find a link to the route details on our website.
If you're looking for somewhere to take the kids in Lodi this week, the public library is expected to officially reopen today. This comes after it was closed earlier this month due to mold damage. It was found during a remodel of the basement. A professional mold removal team was hired immediately to address the issue. They say the most recent air quality tests came back clean.
While Santa isn't perfect, so you might find yourself standing in some kind of customer service line over the next few days. State consumer officials want to remind you that some stores won't accept returns unless you have a receipt. Some stores may also limit returns to a certain time frame or won't accept returns after a certain date, so be sure to know about those special terms before you head to the store.
From cardboard boxes to most types of wrapping paper, a lot of leftover Christmas components can be recycled, but an area waste disposal and recycling business is warning against putting a certain type of item in the recycling bin. That's clothing, which Pelletary Waste System says is a common issue at recycling centers. According to Pelletary spokespeople, the machine that sorts materials often places clothes in the same category as water bottles, which can cause contamination. Clothing can also get tangled and jammed up in the equipment.
If you're headed back home from those holiday celebrations today, gas prices are probably even lower than when you left. The average price for a gallon of regular in Wisconsin is down to $2.09 this morning. That's 10 cents cheaper than this time last week. Prices are even lower in Rock County, with prices below $2 a gallon being reported in the Janesville area. AAA says this is the cheapest gas has been in December in 2 years. 6:56 right now. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning. The Beltline is beginning to pick up on the westbound side, but really volume is still down today so far compared to a normal workday. Inbound John Olin moving well with just a few brake lights near the Olin Avenue intersection, but other main routes leading into the city, they're still moving along at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh.
And we continue to see a beautiful sunrise out there. The temperature has dropped even more now with the clouds moving out. We've dropped down to 27 degrees, but as we go through the morning, I think we'll rebound towards 32, eventually topping out right around 36 degrees. For those highs today, we should be right around 38. We'll stay overcast all day long and will be milder as well before rain chances increase overnight tonight.
All right, Chris.
Well, important for people to stay bundled and drive very safely as they come back home after the holidays. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you back at noon.